Put down your baby and pick up a beer. Dad Jokes is back with a brand new episode. I'm Jerry, joined here by Brandon, and you're listening to the podcast of two dads going through the journey of fatherhood while you all listen to us as we do it. What's going on, Brandon? I feel like we're getting back onto a normal schedule.
We're back in the groove. I had some recent good news when I went to my surgeon, and couldn't be better. It's great.
Yeah, that's definitely a win. It sounds like you're on the path to recovery, which is good. And we're back onto scheduling our normal Wednesday slot for recording podcasts. So things are getting back to normal. But Brandon, before we get into what's happened to us since the last time we talked a week ago, let's start with a dad joke today. Would you like to lead off, or do you want me to lead off today?
I'll go ahead and lead off. This one's in dedication to our first guest on the Dad Jokes podcast, Cameron Driscoll. And you may or may not get it once you hear the resolution to the joke, or the answer to the joke. I don't know how that goes.
The punchline?
There we go. Good job. Good job, Brandon. Jerry, what was the chef's subscription service called?
Chef Boyardee. I don't know.
If you're thinking about Cam, think about it. What would the chef's subscription service call? That's actually a good guess, but no. OnlyPants.
OnlyPants. Nice. I like it.
He consistently on his Facebook and Instagram story cooks and says, "Welcome to my OnlyPants." So that made me think of him.
Nice. That's not bad. I don't hate that one. Mine's decent. Mine's a different type of dad joke today, so we'll see how you think, what you think about it when we get to that one later on. But Brandon, what's been going on in the Banks household since we talked about a week ago?
So my update, and I'm going to get into it, but the biggest update is we had a scare with Bryce before we started recording. He was once it's close to bedtime. I don't know if Peyton does this. Bryce gets when he's sleepy, he gets so clumsy, and the problem is he's clumsy but with like a burst of energy. So it's not a good combination. And this kid, he goes, I had a Ritz cracker in my hand because I was making some gumbo. I was heating up some gumbo. I did not make it.
I was going to say, that's impressive in your current state, making some gumbo.
No, I was heating up some gumbo, but I had some Ritz crackers. He loves crackers. So I called him, was like, "You want a cracker?" He was in the living room with his mom, and he started to run over to me and slipped on something, and head went just straight basically into the ground. Oh. And when he got up, it is like but the dude falls all the time.
Right.
Like, it's not. So I wasn't even I didn't really think twice about it, because what's crazy is most of the time when he falls and we react as like parents to the ones that seem like they're bad, he gets up and acts like nothing is wrong. And then the falls or bumps that like don't seem like they're that big of a deal, he will just go crazy. So I'm trying to just like not react to it. He gets up and looks at us. He's crying hard, and all you see is blood coming from his mouth and going down to his basically down his cheek and everything. So he needless to say, we ran over to him, got him cleaned up, but he had a nice gash on his lip. So we probably need to start doing toy cleanup before he goes to bed and not after. That's also a topic that we should do at some point, which is how to teach your kids to clean up. Because I've been doing the cleanup song with them as I put the stuff up, but he has no interest in helping me, which is funny.
Peyton likes to help once in a while, but she like throws 5 or 6 things in, and then she goes off to destroying more. So I don't know. She does help, but I don't think she helps because she thinks she's helping. I think she thinks it's a game. Like, oh, okay, we're doing a game, and then she realizes, oh, this game's not that fun.
I would love for Bryce to participate in that game. He'll grab a couple and like put them somewhere else, but he doesn't necessarily just help me.
Would you guys have like the buckets? Because we have a lot of those buckets and stuff, and I think that helps because she likes just throwing stuff in there and taking stuff out. So it's kind of fun, I think, for her to put stuff in there sometimes.
Yeah, and bless Kelsey's heart, she goes through and will like organize them like a
I
couple
do too,
times a
Kelsey.
month.
I do too.
Uh,
I there's certain things
and
and certain ones.
yeah, then the next day, all of them are like
Destroyed.
legit right now. This he's never fully done this, but I feel like for the last week or so, he's really interested in trying to pull out every single thing he possibly could. Where
Yeah.
before he pull out a lot of different stuff, just because he's infatuated with like spinning stuff on the ground. But like he just will pull everything out. It's crazy. But I have been a bit more mobile, especially the last couple of days. I got my catheter out yesterday, so I've been able to kind of maneuver from a walking perspective in spurts more than I could before. So that's great. He's been playing outside at Granny and Pawpaw's house a ton. He was playing outside when I pulled up today, which is great. Especially it was after we got a bunch of weather that came in. And then one thing I did not know, because we have stairs, we have a 3-level house, so upstairs, main floor, and basement, and we have a lot of stairs, and so we don't really let him walk up as the stairs. He can crawl up the stairs. But my parents live in a ranch, so they have like a 2-step to get into like the bedroom area of their home, and then they have a 1-step down to get to like the family or living room. And I never really paid a ton of attention. He goes over there every day. He like will full speed like run at the stairs, and like once he gets up to it, knows how to maneuver down. It's crazy to see when you're not like you. I haven't seen this in a month. Like it's been a whole month since I've been over to my parents' house. And he just ran up to the stairs and walked right down. No help. He hesitated slightly and did the same thing on the 2-step. Like it's crazy. And the people listening are probably like, yeah, that's not really that big of a deal. Imagine me not expecting my kid. I'm visiting my parents for the first time in a month, and I'm seeing Bryce over there. Went over there to pick him up, and I just see him running towards stairs, and I'm not supposed to be moving quickly. And it just, my dad and my mom are just like chilling. They don't think anything of it because they see it every day, and I just like jump up to try to like protect him, and they're like, he's fine, and he just walks down the stairs like a normal human being. It's crazy. Yeah. But crazy. That's a good depiction of what's happened the last little bit in our week.
I like it, Brandon. Yeah, our week wasn't too eventful, and unfortunately, probably the biggest development or new thing that happened to us this week is Peyton's tantrums have taken a whole new turn. She's had a few tantrums this week, and by a few I mean probably 5 or 6. So not just a couple, but 5 or 6, where she will full on scream inconsolably for 20-30 minutes. Not a few minutes, not, in the past she'd have little tantrums and it might last a couple minutes, or she'd have a tantrum, you pick her up, she'd get over it. You give her a toy, she'd get over it. You give her food, she'd get over it. You had ways to distract her. These are tantrums where she doesn't want to be held, she doesn't want a toy, she doesn't want TV, she doesn't want anything. You can't distract her. And so that has been interesting. Now today, what I found out, because it's been such it seems like one or two of these are happening a day, like, and off of some dumb stuff, Brandon. Not even like anything happens, like she doesn't fall or nothing. It's like you set her down and she's mad, and then all of a sudden you can't get it back. So we're like, I don't know what the heck's going on. Is it a leap because she's in the middle of a leap, right? Or is it she's teething? There's something going on. And it might be some of those things. But one thing we did look up is she had a sinus infection, and she got some medicine, an antibiotic, to get over it. And Macy was looking today, and I guess one of the side effects of the antibiotic are tantrums like this. And some of the parents were like commenting and saying like, yeah, my kid's normally a super mild-mannered kid, and they've been having terrible tantrums since they started taking this. Which Peyton's not exactly mild-mannered to begin with, but these are way worse than anything I've ever seen. Like, you legit cannot console her. It is crazy. And like I said, 25 minutes, 30 minutes. So I'm hoping it is just the antibiotic because she's about
I
done.
wish I
think
could
she's
blame
got
an
maybe a day
antibiotic on
left.
that.
Dude, it's crazy. Like, Macy's mom was over today. She saw one for the first time, and I think she was like, "What?" Because you can't do anything. And I guess she's 16 months. She's not like 2 or 3 yet, where she's having like the terrible twos type of thing. I don't know what is going on. So hopefully that's just a weird fluke. She is feeling better, and when she's not having these tantrums, she's actually been really good. So that's what's crazy. She's been pretty happy lately, in a good mood. But you kind of told the story, Brandon, about Bryce face planning. Well, today Peyton was at her gymnastics class, and she was doing great. She's becoming less shy. She's having fun. She's running around. But at the end, I guess she had a toy, and another kid took the toy from her, and she like fell over and hit her head on the tile, which one is not great. So that was bad. And then later, I guess she fell, and there's like trampolines, and slid, and now she's got a big old like almost like a. You ever get a trampoline burn as a kid, Brandon? You know what that looks like, but it's on her chin.
No, actually, my parents wouldn't really let me. I wanted a trampoline so bad when I was a kid.
Yeah, we had one, and we were probably the reason that parents like yours wouldn't let you have one because we were doing dumb stuff on it all the time.
They said their insurance would go up.
But yeah, now she's got a burn on her chin from where she fell. So she had a little bit of an interesting day with injuries as well. But like I said, most of the time when she's not having these tantrums, she's been good lately. Definitely getting less shy. Definitely wanting to explore more. One thing that's been kind of cool lately is she's always been infatuated by books, loves books, but lately her favorite saying lately is "What's that? What's this?" and she'll point in books at things. Like she likes Mickey Mouse a lot now, so she'll like open these Mickey Mouse books and point, and I'll be like Mickey, and then she'll like, "What's this?" I'm like Minnie. But like it's funny because like she'll keep asking the same thing. Like I told you that was Mickey, Peyton. And she's like, "What's this?" That's still Mickey. He didn't change.
This dude Bryce has been asking. So if there's something he said more than anything else is "What's that?" Like he says it all the time. And the cool thing about where he's at right now is that that's translating to we can ask him what's that, and he tells us, or he just points stuff out. But the number one thing since he said this, and he's been saying it for a while, is the fan. Every time he sees a ceiling fan or a box fan, he asks, "What's that?" And every time it's a fan. Every single time, I promise y'all, it's a fan. And this kid still don't know what the fan is though. Like with anything else, he can say, "What's that?" I'll be like, "Ball." He's like, "Ball," or he'll point to it and be like, "Ball," or he'll use "ball" in like a 3-word little phrase. Same thing with cookies and crackers and Riley the dog and mommy and daddy. But the one thing he asks about all the time is a fan. And I just look at him sometimes like, "Bro, you know what that is. Quit asking me."
It is
and then
funny
I tell him.
Because sometimes you just be having funny sentences with with your kids. Because I'll be like, "Peyton, that's the same thing it was 7 seconds ago. That's still Mickey. He's still chilling in the same position he was." But that's
still Mickey, and it's still a fan.
She likes asking what's that, and she also has figured out because sometimes when you try to get a kid to eat, you'll be like Well, now she likes doing that. So she'll like put food in her mouth and be like, I don't even know. But like every bite, if she's eating applesauce the other day, and probably for 20 minutes straight was just going as she was eating her applesauce. So it's cute, but it's kind of funny. It's like, yeah, we know it tastes good. I
feel like we're at a very similar stage where it's like 90% cutest thing you ever seen, 10% I'm gonna drop kick you and kick you outside.
Oh, dude,
I probably shouldn't say that.
She's on another one with these tantrums. Like I don't even. It'd almost be funny if like you knew like a magic thing. Like even like there was something like we're gonna get into a topic today with pacifiers, and even if like you're trying to get rid of like something like that, but you knew it would get her to stop, you'd probably give in. But no, there's no cheat code to what's going on right now. Like it's gonna run its course. She's just got to scream until she's done screaming, and she just decides she's done. And then the dumb part is, as soon as she's done, it's like she's in a good mood again, which is great. So it's like you're not even like chill. It's like nope, she's just in a good mood again.
Bryce has been going through, I'd say, something fairly similar. Typically, Kelsey can get him to calm down. So it might just be a me thing. I also have been I've been confined to a space for a good amount of time, so that has a lot to do with it from her being able to console him perspective. But he He'll get going, and then in the middle of it, you can get him to like crack up laughing, like where he was inconsolable before. He can start cracking up laughing. He can start doing something, and then 30 seconds later, he remembers that he was supposed to be upset, and then it's just the exact same thing again. So it's really like he'll go from a laugh to a cry in a second when that happens.
Yeah, I feel like Peyton will like look over and make sure I'm still paying attention. Like if I just like leave her be, if she doesn't want to be, and like she'll be crying, and all of a sudden she'll like kind of like pause, like to catch her breath, and like look over, like, oh, he's still there. I'm gonna keep crying now. Like, I don't know. It is ironic. But Brandon, let's get into some baby gear. I have some kind of interesting baby gear this week. This has been a big week for baby gear with me, and I wish it wasn't, but it kind of is. So basically, my brother, as you know, Brandon, he is getting married later this year, which my brother lives in Seattle. Obviously, we're in Michigan, so it's a long trip, and we're going to have the two of us, me and Macy, and then 2 kids under 2 that are going to have to fly out there because I will be officiating the wedding, standing up in it, and then Peyton will probably be a flower girl. And so there's a lot of involvement in it. It's going to be a lot, and we haven't.
You almost said the new daughter's name. I saw it on the tip of your tongue.
So we're going to be traveling, with small children, and we've never flown. It's funny. That's literally what Macy's mom always says, Penelope or Piper. But we will be traveling or flying with 2 small children. We've never even flown with just Peyton, so I'm already stressed out about it. But in preparation for this, because you know me, I'm a planner. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try to start preparing for this now, figuring out what we need, and we'll probably have an episode on this because there's a lot to it already, and I haven't done it yet, so we'll have to get closer. But one thing we wanted to do, we're like, hey, this is over a 4-hour flight to fly to Seattle. It's a pretty long flight, even when you're flying direct, which is a big deal when you're flying with kids, because if kids get upset on planes, or especially if they're having tantrums like they are now, what are we going to do?
You talk to somebody over 50, they're going to tell you just give them some whiskey and put them to sleep.
Yeah, exactly. So one thing that we decided that we wanted to maybe do is look at getting one of those like kid tablets or whatever, so that when you're on the plane, she has something to keep her entertained, whether it's a movie, a show, or games that you can put on there. So we ended up getting the Fire 7 Kids tablet, which was on sale on Amazon for like $59. So nothing crazy. It's got like a protective case over it, and basically it's very easy from an Amazon account to control what's on there and not as a parent. And so we're going to have like some games, some, shows or movies. And what we wanted to do is get it early so she knows what it is and she's comfortable with it. And part 2 of this, Brandon, is we needed to get her headphones. So we looked up a bunch of different headphones, and we ended up getting her a pair of headphones that they kind of look like cat ears, and they light up on the side, and they're super cute for kids. And she actually thinks they're super cool, but what she doesn't like is wearing them, which I knew was going to be a thing because she hates things on her head. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to show her wearing them myself, right? So she sees what they're for. And then I'm like, okay, after I do that, I'm going to, play some music so that it's like Frozen or something, because she loves Frozen, right? So I'm like, if I play Frozen on the phone or on the tablet, she'll hear it and she'll want to put them on her head. Nope. She hates these stupid things on her head. So that's going to definitely be a work in progress. Just so you guys know, it's the iClever cat ear kids Bluetooth headphones. And they're Bluetooth, but they also can plug in with the cord. $29 on Amazon. Not expensive at all. It's a 4.7 review. So, and they seem to work fine. She just hates them, which I knew was going to happen.
Why don't you let her try? She might just be bougie. Why don't you let her try your headphones, Jerry, which are exact opposite end of the spectrum on a price standpoint.
Exactly.
It's the AirPods Max.
Hey, I bought them secondhand.
Yeah.
But yeah, so those 2 things we've bought in preparation. So far so good, but really, like I said, we wanted to get her comfortable with a couple things so that when we get on the plane, we can focus on the baby, and then hopefully she's good just chilling, playing some games, eating some snacks, and watching maybe a movie or so. But we'll see how that goes. So that's going to be our work in progress over the next few months. We got till October to worry about it. So we got a little bit of time. So that's my baby gear, Brandon. What baby gear do you have?
So I have two as well. One was I don't want to say a guilty purchase, but so when Bryce was a baby, one of the first things we like quote unquote watched together was Sesame Street. And specifically, I would basically just turn on Elmo's World, and like YouTube has a bunch of loops of Elmo's World. And good job. That's a great. Do that again. That was a great impression.
Nope, I'm done with that. I do Cookie Monster usually, so Elmo's rare for me.
That was pretty good. It sucked, but it was pretty good. But I would basically do an Elmo voice to him. You beat me to the punch, and that always got his attention. Like if we needed to take pictures, if we needed to do anything, when he was a very young baby, I was always able to get his attention doing the Elmo voice. And maybe if you stay on listening long enough, I might put that in the outro when we close up the episode, me doing the Elmo voice. But we haven't really gone back to Elmo since he was a baby. Like we watched Miss Rachel, we watched Bluey, we watched some Disney movies on Sunday morning, stuff like that. Tab time is always great as well. But I turned on. He was up here in the room with me, and I turned Elmo on, or I turned Sesame Street on for him, and Elmo came on the screen, and in the cutest voice ever, he just said, "Elmo," and I was like, I looked at Kelsey, and I was like, "Oh my God, he knows who Elmo." Now it turns out he watches Sesame Street sometimes at my parents' house, so he's learned who Elmo is. But in my mind, it's stuck from when he was a kid, and then the whole rest of the time,
Brandon, just take the W.
Bro, it was the cutest thing I'd ever seen in my life. And the way he says Elmo is so cute. I'm like, I got to get this dude. I was like, you know what? I remember when I was younger, we bought my little sister a Tickle Me Elmo. And it was a big deal because they were hard to find. I'm like, I'm getting him a Tickle Me Elmo. So, baby gear number one is I bought Bryce a Tickle Me Elmo. I gave it to him yesterday. It came in, and he gave me everything I needed. He was super excited, hugged it. It started laughing and giggling. He was saying Elmo. And then like 5 minutes later, he was done with it, and it's been sitting in the playpen. So he still says Elmo when he sees it, and it's cool. So that's baby gear number one. Second thing, our basement basically is turned into half his, half mine, man cave and playroom, and we have the Nugget couch. There's also a dupe like slide that's kind of like the Nugget, but it's the Sam's Club brand. And then his grandparents bought him the Pickler triangle set with the slide attached. He does not go up on that Pickler climber at all. And he really doesn't climb the Nugget to get to the slide. I'm like, I want something. If you remember back a few episodes back, we were at a friend's birthday party, and they had like a jungle gym set up, and Dad kind of almost forced Bryce to go down the slide a little bit, and Bryce did not have a good time doing it, and he did not want to get back on the slide. So I've been trying to reintroduce slides to him in a fun way. So I bought the Little Tykes My First Slide as well. So technically he has 3 potential slides in the basement right now that all kind of work together, which is probably overkill, but this one has been getting its use in the last couple of days. He's really taken to it. So that's a win for me, getting him to like slides again.
I like it. Yeah, we ended up getting a slide and a Little Tykes hoop for free. Someone was like getting rid of them, and they asked if Macy if she wanted them. She's like, "Yep." So Peyton went down the slide. The first time good. The second time she was a little hesitant, but it went fairly well. And then she was more entertained by me putting her baby dolls down the slide than herself. But
yeah,
we'll
we've been putting a lot of basketballs up and down the slide and cars and stuff like that too.
Yeah.
As long as he likes slides, I'm good.
Yes. But Brandon, let's get into today's topic. Today's topic's very, very relevant for the both of us. And that is how to get rid of Pacifier if it's part of your baby's everyday life. And I think maybe a good place to start, Brandon, is why? Like, why do we care? Like, why does it matter? Because I'll be honest with you, before I had kids, like you knew at a certain point, you're like, okay, your kid doesn't need a pacifier, but like, does it really matter, or is it just looks dumb? Like, is it like an aesthetic thing, or does it actually have purpose? And the actual truth behind it is there are some reasons why to get rid of a pacifier. And also, depending on what you read, some people say you should get rid of a pacifier before 1. Other things say between the ages of 2 and 3. So it's not like everyone agrees on a certain age, but basically sometime between 1 and 3, you should be getting rid of it. When's the right time? Talk to your pediatrician. But why you should get rid of it potentially is it can have some negative effects. One thing is it can actually cause ear infections, or you make your kid more prone to ear infections. That's something I didn't know until recently. So that's one of the reasons. Another reason, and a big one, is it can cause dental problems. Pretty significant dental problems, and that's not cheap as a parent either. So that's another reason. And then lastly, a reason I'll mention, Brandon, before I'll let you say if there's any I missed, but is the longer you wait, the harder it might be to eventually get rid of it. So those are some of the big reasons why you might want to consider getting rid of pacifier. What about you, Brandon? Did I miss any or anything to add to those?
I can add a little bit. For us, number one, our pediatrician straight up told us at the 18-month appointment it's time to get him off the pacifier or start that process basically. And for Bryce, part of the reason was you can tell he's getting kind of pacifier mouth in his 2 front teeth, and you don't want that to get too extreme. That's something that as the child gets older, even through baby teeth, can correct itself as long as it doesn't get to be too bad. His weren't too bad, but it's basically it's time. And we'll go into kind of what we've been doing. But ultimately, as Jerry said, it can cause dental problems. What it actually does, it can affect the child's bite and cause like a overbite or a cross bite. Basically, because you're constantly sucking on the pacifier, the cheek muscles are always flexed, and the upper jaw doesn't expand normally. And then that will cause the upper jaw to be too narrow and the bottom teeth could overlap, which kind of causes that overbite if you look at it that way. So kind of as Jerry said, from what I saw between the ages of 1 and 3, I saw a ton of research that, or I was looking at something with actual dentists and doctors that said start around 18 months, but I didn't see anything that said go past 3 years. Every single thing I saw said 3 years must be a hard cutoff. If it's still happening, according to them, it needs to stop ASAP at that point. So I think that kind of takes us to the next portion of it, Jerry, and that's how.
Yeah, and there's definitely not a one-size-fits-all for the house, but there's different recommendations or tips, if you will, and then I think it's finding which one works for your kid or what combination works for your kid. So the first one is pretty simple, cold turkey. You take it away, and what they say is if you go cold turkey, throw them all away or put them in storage somewhere where you're not tempted to just grab one. So that's one of the ways is literally just going cold turkey. Another one, kind of on the same lines but a little bit less stringent, wean them off of it. So they can only have it certain hours of the day, only at nighttime. Just being conscious and removing it at certain points in time. So that's another way to do it. Another recommendation, give them something different. Something else that can comfort them, whether it's a different teething toy that's better for their teeth, or it's something like a blanket or a stuffed animal or something that comforts them other than the pacifier itself. So those are a few, Brandon. Do you have any more that you came across, tips?
I want to add on a little bit to like the weaning off or gradually coming off of the pacifier. It's basically you want to reduce the use throughout the day. And that's kind of what we're doing right now. He still is getting it at nighttime. And typically it is falling out of his mouth at night. Now he might grab one of the other ones that are in there. And then you have instances like today when he was inconsolable. And he had been inconsolable for quite a while. It was to the point, so he didn't have a Paci in. Might be too much information, but he ended up. Sometimes he can cry so much that he works himself up and kind of spits up. That happened. At that point, we were like, let's give him a Paci so we can see if that helps calm him down. And between the Paci and his mom, that definitely worked. So you can reduce the use. When he's at my parents' house, he pretty much does not get it unless it's nap time. Other than that, you're not getting it throughout the day. So sleep time right now is what we've been using it for, and we're getting to the point where that's going to be going away. You also can just designate certain times as pacifier free time. So maybe if he's at home playing, you don't give it at all at home. And if they're outside the home in a position where they may be more uncomfortable, they are allowed to have a pacifier. Another way to go about it is Jerry mentioned kind of giving them something. Depending on how old your child is when you're taking the pacifier away or reducing the pacifier, you can actually, if they are able to, you can teach them new strategies to kind of cope with like anger, frustration, sadness. Talk to them about what's upsetting them. A couple things I saw were like labeling their emotions. So, hey, I can see that you're frustrated. I understand it's frustrating when you're having fun. We have to leave, or offering an alternative, kind of what Jerry said as well. And there are a few other things we'll ultimately get to. But were there any other strategies that you saw?
Well, it's actually kind of funny because we didn't talk ahead of time about this, but we started recently trying to limit pacifier. And the main reason we did is our pediatrician didn't say anything, but she like was never that dependent on it. And then in the last few months, she became really dependent on it. And it kind of was like a little worrisome to us because it was almost to the point where she wanted it like 24/7. And I was like, okay, this is something we probably should change it up. So what we decided to do, and again, we didn't talk with you, and actually I didn't even look at anything. We just kind of decided at the time, we're like, okay, let's try only having it in her crib. So when she takes a nap or she goes to sleep, we're going to keep all the Pacis in the crib, no pacifiers outside of the crib. And it went pretty well, which was surprising because I didn't think it would. And then all of a sudden these tantrums started, and it was like, okay, is it related to the pacifier? But I can tell you, I tried giving her one the one day when she was doing it, and it didn't do nothing. So I don't think it is. I think that's to something else. But we've only been doing it for a week or so now, and it's gone fairly well. And eventually we'll, again, like you guys said, take it away at nighttime too. But yeah, our biggest thing was we were nervous that she was becoming too dependent on it. And then the second thing I'll kind of touch on is one thing that they say that can be tough, and we're preparing for this, is when you have a newborn, and the newborn will have a pacifier.
Oh, I didn't even
babies
think about
will want
that.
it again. So we're anticipating that she's going to want it again, but we also anticipated that if we didn't start trying to take it away early, that trying to take it away and the baby's there could be a nightmare. So yes, we're probably going to have a little bit of a relapse, and yes, it might become difficult again, but I think at least if she's not super dependent upon it, when the baby comes, it won't be as bad than if she is, and we're trying to take it away and the baby has it. So, I mean, I could be wrong in that, but that's another issue you might have. If you have another kid on the way, or even just a small kid, and you're trying to, it can be tough because if they see their sibling with it, they're going to want it. That's just the way kids are.
That actually brings me to a point. Before that, I didn't actually mention how it was going. It's been pretty much seamless. Like, if he sees the pacifier, he wants it. So if we're upstairs for whatever reason, like during the day, and he runs into his room where the pacifiers are, and he sees it, he'll in his Bryce voice say "Paci," and try to grab it. But other than that, it has not been a problem at all. He doesn't need it, and he uses it when he's sleeping. Sometimes selfishly, I almost think that we could probably take it away and see what happens, but that means that we might end up dealing with a couple more wake ups at night. And yep. Kelsey's been flying kind of solo while I've been in recovery. So now that I'm helping with bedtime more, that might be something that we explore. But to your point, with having a new baby coming in, one suggestion that I did see is that if you're not like just gradually taking it away, or a strategy when you're gradually taking it away, is actually buying newborn Pacis, because they're much smaller. So that kind of inevitably, it's still something that they have, but it's way less of the, I don't know, what's the actual pacifier
Nipple?
part called? Is it? Yeah, actually, that
I think
probably is
that's
what
what
it's
it
called.
is.
So the nipple is significantly smaller, and that's a strategy that some people have used to wean their people off of the pacifier. Giggity.
Yeah. Yeah. A couple strategies I saw, Brandon, that we didn't talk about is one, if your kid is older, there's specific stories and books out there about getting rid of pacifier. And if your kid likes books and stories and is getting a little bit older where they understand what you're talking about, that can be a good way to do it. And you kind of like read the book and introduce the book and make the book a big deal. So that kind of story time can be one way to get the kid to get rid of it. And then another strategy I read about, Brandon, that I thought was kind of interesting, is you poke a hole in the top of the
Yeah, I saw that.
pacifier part.
Or
Yeah,
cut it.
or cut it. And it makes it less satisfying to the kid. And so the theory there is that the kid will want it less. We have not tried that. I think there's mixed reviews on that. Some people swear by it, and some people say it's hogwash. But that's another thing. Maybe if you're struggling with it, it probably doesn't hurt to do to one and just see if it has any effect. But that's one strategy I read that I thought was kind of interesting. Is I guess is to, like you said, either cut it or poke a hole in it.
Yeah, I actually have that on the same line as the buy newborn passies on my notes because it came up as a similar thought process. They get less satisfaction out of it once they get used to the larger nipple, and then they don't necessarily want it anymore. The other thing with the newborn passy is that it potentially, you don't want them on it for a long time, but it potentially has less of an effect from a dental perspective than the larger pacifiers do. But it still is the actual, what's causing the issue is them constantly sucking in the cheek muscle. So it may be gradually or cause an issue to happen less, but it still potentially is going to create an issue.
Yeah, and the thing that I'll kind of end on, my last point would be, getting rid of pacifier, especially if your kid's, I don't want to say dependent on it, but uses it a lot. It's probably not going to be great. Maybe it goes well, but if you're nervous or stalling doing it because you're worried of it being really bad, you got, it's like a Band-Aid. At some point in time, you're gonna have to do it. So it's just probably just doing it.
It's only gonna get worse,
and then deciding, how you want to do it. Like you said, maybe it makes sense to do it all at once. The main reason we didn't do it all at once is because, she's still, like, we're not being pressured by like a pediatrician. She's still only 16 months, and then honestly, it's the fear of the nighttime thing. Like I said, I don't want to have to get up 5 or 6 times because, at night she does sleep pretty well right now. It's like almost you don't want to mess with it, So it's more about us than it is about her, unfortunately, at nighttime. But during the day, we've pretty much kept it away from her, and so far so good. We'll see, but like I said, at some point in time you got to rip the Band-Aid. So that's kind of my last point. Brandon, you got any last points?
I think we covered it. I guess the last lines on my note, if you have an older child, so maybe they're closer to 3, able to understand like conversation and nuance and conversation a little bit more, have a real conversation with them. Jerry mentioned the book. You can absolutely go that route. But also, if you're going to take it away, tell them, hey, on Friday, we're putting the pacifiers away and they're going away for good. That, from everything I've seen, that tends to be a good way to handle it if you have an older toddler who can potentially handle that conversation. Let them know. Have them help you collect all the pacifiers. You can let them know we're giving this to somebody else who needs it, however you want to spin it. Or you can just tell them, hey, yo, it's time for you to grow up.
I like it, Brandon. So we'll definitely keep you guys updated on how it goes for us because we're both in the midst of doing this right now. Like I said, we're probably just maybe a week. It's not been that long. So, but Brandon, I got a dad joke for you if you're ready. It's a little bit different than normal. So you ready for my dad joke?
What's this, like a lumberjack dad joke?
Different. It's more of like a little bit of a story, if you will.
Oh, okay.
So
let's get it. I have time.
Brandon, I'm a dog lover. You're a dog lover. And my puppy, Raja, she's a a little psychopath, but I love her to death. Also a girl, because only girls are allowed in the Lusky household. But Raja, I can't take her to the dog park anymore. You know, it's kind of weird, but the ducks keep biting her. Do you know why?
The ducks, DUCKS?
Yeah, the ducks at the park just keep biting her.
I don't know, because she's quacky.
No, I should have known it was going to happen. She's purebred.
So that actually was funny, but that was a long time for that payoff.
Yeah, I told you a little bit different. Well,
and your dog is purebred too, so good job.
She is. She actually is a purebred, but it's kind of funny. She's purebred psychopath is what she is. She actually, in the middle of recording, came downstairs, like pushed the baby gate open.
I saw you looking around.
And I'm like, what are you doing? And she never does this. And then like laid down for 10 seconds, got back up and went upstairs. I was like, thanks, Raj. I don't know what that was about, but
she didn't time her entrance. Correct. She knew you were gonna be talking about her, and she thought you were at the end of the episode.
She had the zoomies last night, and Peyton thought it was hilarious. She was belly laughing at Raj. It was great. She was literally belly laughing. So that was great.
Dogs and babies, man. Once that relationship is established, it's fun to watch.
It definitely is. For all you guys listening, though, please make sure, if you haven't already, like us on Facebook, like us on all the social media pages, on Instagram, follow us, give us 5 stars, give us recommendations. We like hearing from each and every single one of you. But until next time, I'm Jerry, joined here by Brandon, and you've been listening to Dad Jokes.
Elmo's World.